As usual, guys, if you are here often, you know that I am not great with that chat box. I like to see my whole screen when I'm presenting, but I do talk to you and read off text. Please, if you've got any questions, do me a favor and just unmute yourself. That's going to be the best way to get me to go back, answer any questions you've got. I don't mind. Please just stop me and let me know what questions you have so I can get you taken care of. All right, so today we're going to be working on talking about the basics of working with leasing clients, also known as rentals or renter clients, whatever it is in your market, that is the standard terminology. But today we're going to be talking about people who lease and work with us as their agent to lease. Just some basics. Obviously, this is a topic that, it can be dove into and really we could spend hours on this. But if you just need some basics, maybe you haven't in a while, worked with renters, maybe you've never done it before and now the market's changing in your area. This is a great little, just some tidbits, just some tips. Again, we could spend hours on this, but just some of my tips from working with leasing clients. I do work with them often here in my market. Leasing is very prevalent right now for goodness, a bunch of reasons, many factors. You will notice probably that some of your clients are priced out of the market currently, and they're turning to leasing, to wait a little bit, or, they're not finding something that's on the market that really suits them, but they need to move. So we're going to talk about working with those types of clients. So how to turn renters into future buyers. We're also going to be talking about that today. I do think it's really important that if you work with leasing clients, that you also think about their future because they're thinking about it too. So some things I want to state is that working with tenants is a great source of business. Oftentimes I find that rental clients refer their friends and family to me often. And it is oftentimes more often than those that are selling or buying, because in my area, I'm in the Miami market, leasing is very, very common. So they'll know people that need to lease more than someone that needs to sell or buy. That will be in their life, more prevalently than someone who needs to buy and sell. So, working with a coworker, it needs to lease as well. And there you go, you have a referral. It's very, very common here. I usually make this otherwise very daunting process very simple for them and enjoyable, because I do talk about the future and the possibility of owning a home. I talk about that a lot with my leasing clients because I want them to, not feel like this is the end of the road for them, that buying a home is absolutely possible, especially when having a professional's help. Right. So I said, especially in today's market where we're seeing people priced out and holding off in hopes it will get better. And then hello, booming rental market, right? That's what happens. And I'm seeing that here in my area. Remember, it might very well be their first time or yours. If you're a new agent or you've never worked with rentals, you just didn't want to. It is it's a different animal altogether, right? It's a different process, and we're going to go through some of that. But maybe it is your first time and you've never taken on a leasing client. So some of these tips might be helpful for you. Renting a property off the MLS is not always straightforward, and each owner will have their own list of requirements. So let's get started. So here are all my shocked faces, and that's typically what you're going to find with your leasing clients, especially if they've never leased before. You're going to get all of these sorts of faces. And then don't miss my funny lemurs there on the bottom left, because when I put in shocked and that came up in Canva, I thought it was hysterical, so I had to include them. Here are my top 4 things that your clients as renters probably don't know. So here are some of the basics that are going to occur: a credit check, a background check, employment verification, and those are the 3 non-negotiables. Then your actual property, the owner of that property, is going to have some additional requirements. I mean, maybe not, right? Maybe you find a unicorn where these are the only 3, but typically there's going to be a bit more hoops that they need to jump through, and it's your job to guide them. You can set this up for your client, these three things, these credit check, the background check, and employment verification. You can set that up for your client if you've got the software in your MLS to do that. We do here in Florida, in Miami. So I'm sure other MLSs do have that integration with some sort of company that they work with. Or the screening can be done through the other agent's company, the listing agent's company. It depends completely on the listing. It depends on the owner's requirements. So please make sure to read every MLS listing carefully. Don't assume that all rentals are on the MLS are going to be the same. Each one has their own specific requirements. Another thing that's going to shock your clients, and they probably are not aware of, the funds to move in. This varies. However, it's quite typical that they require a total of 3 months to move in. Typically, it's 1 month down with your offer, and then the other 2 months will be required upon move-in. So your client's not going to get those keys until they exchange those funds with the other agent, and the other agent then serves them to the owner. And that landlord then is going to decide from then going forward on that lease agreement how they're paid. But it will typically require 3 months to move in. Again, there are some wonderful unicorns if you find them on the market where 2 months might be required only, but please make sure you educate your clients and let them know that they're not going to just move in with just the funds of 1 month, and that's not the way the process works. So you'd be surprised how many clients have absolutely zero knowledge of the industry norms as far as rentals are concerned. Prepare for the shock factor. And then don't forget to tell them about utilities too. You're going to need to, again, check that MLS listing, right? Some of them do include things like water, and some of them will include electricity as well. But on a listing that has none of that, and your client is responsible for all of the utilities, you need to advise them that they're not only going to have to put those utilities in their name, they're not going to remain in the owner's name. They have to switch those utilities to their name. And they will be having to pay possibly some utility deposits to turn those utilities on. So make sure you speak to your clients about this, because these are the common shock factors that I run into with my own clients. Time frame's really big too. Usually it's, I want to move in tomorrow. Look, here, I have the money, and where do I send it? Right? It's not always that fast. Typically, I search with my leasing clients roughly 5 to 6 weeks from their desired move-in date. And here's why. I roughly give them about 2 weeks to shop. Why do I say 2 weeks? No, you're not going to spend a full 14 days searching for properties, most likely. Typically, clients are only available on the weekends, or, 1 to 2 times a week. And you're not going to be able to see their list of 10 homes in one day. Don't overwhelm your client that way. I really like to group it so that they're not overwhelmed, and they can have a pen and paper and really mark down their ideas about each one that we've seen. So I give them 2 weeks to decide on a property and go ahead and show them all the properties that they're interested in. So then afterwards, it's about 1 to 2 weeks to make an offer. They decide, we just talk about, I've run comps, I see what is available in the area, what the last did rent for, etc. I do my research and I prepare that offer for them. Then you enter into a lease agreement. And so that usually takes 1 to 2 weeks after you make your offer, and all that's in there within that 2-week time frame. So now we're really at like 3 to 4 weeks already. Then, and this is very common in Miami, you need an additional 2 to 4 weeks for approvals, if applicable, obviously, because if you're not within an HOA, you're not going to have to jump through the HOA approval hoops. However, in my area, my market, the majority of homes, condos, and townhomes are within an HOA. The majority. We've got about, I would say very strongly, I would say at least 75% of the homes in my area are within an HOA. So your client is going to have to apply to that HOA and pay the application fee for that HOA. And if you don't know what an HOA is, I'm sorry for abbreviating it, but it's a homeowners association. So they will have to get approved not only by the owner, which will be their landlord of that property, but in addition, they will have to be approved to live within that community. And that is HOA approval. And the time varies depending on the association. Don't assume all of them are going to be 1 to 2 weeks. Read that MLS listing. It will tell you, at least it should tell you. And if the agent did not input it there, make sure you call before you make an offer, right? Because you're making an offer, and on that CTL, which is the contract to lease, there's a portion there where you need to put move-in date. And if you don't factor in enough time for association approval, then you might be walking into a surprise later on. Everyone thinks they're moving in on X date because you put X date on the CTL, and the other agent went ahead and put that on the lease. You guys really need to come together and decide and determine, excuse me, what is the time frame for this HOA in order to get approval, and leave that time in there. This is crucial. And it's really, really, timing is critical to avoid surprises. You really don't want your client thinking that they can move in before they have HOA approval. Not allowed. If anyone sees a moving truck there, and there are watchdogs, anyone sees you moving in, and they will inquire. And if you have not gotten HOA approval, you're getting your client into a lot of possible fines and situations. Like, they cannot live there without being approved by that association. So make sure you've got that time frame. Give yourself plenty of time. So that's why I say roughly 5 to 6 weeks to avoid any sorts of surprises. And here's an easy way to have your offer stand out from the crowd. Here in my area, we have a lot of renters, like I said, so you're most likely not going to be the only one making an offer on that property. So I like to include personal letters of reference. I personally write a nice paragraph about the family that I'm representing, or the client that I'm representing, plus having an LOR from current or previous landlord is a great addition to your offer. So I will always ask my clients, hey, is it possible for you to get a letter of recommendation or a letter of reference from your current or previous landlord? This will make your offer, especially if it's a great one, right? Only be asking for ones you have good standing with. This will make your offer really look really nice, and having some additional feedback, right, makes the landlord, makes the owner feel comfortable having you in their home, renting their home. Don't forget, this is someone else's property, so treat it as such, right? And next thing I want to talk to you guys about is 3 ways that you can help that client become a buyer. These are my tried and true easiest ways to help all of my rental clients eventually become buyers. Make the idea of owning a home an easy one. Be the link between their problem and the solution. So here's how I give them solutions. Have MLO's information handy and make a warm introduction between you, your client, and the MLO. Doing this ensures that the client is, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We have a question in the chat.
No, please. Yes.
It says,
we do.
Is
Okay,
it fair to suggest for renters to go to an apartment complex?
Okay, let me read right before that. Another sad fact about rentals: a small number of rentals available do not take pets. Yes, absolutely. And that, Martha, that's definitely something to also look into when you're reading that MLS. I'm not going to say that when you see a no pets there that it's an absolute no. Definitely call, it just takes a phone call. Just call the agent. It might have been a mistake, an oversight. Half of the MLS listings in my area are inaccurate. So everything that you see there, you need to double check, right? Being the good agent that you are, double check. Make sure that everything there on that MLS is valid. You will see oftentimes many errors or things that the other agent just left out entirely. So if you see nothing there, or you see no pets, just a text or a phone call just to confirm. Just want to confirm this property does not allow pets. Now, if your clients absolutely love the property and you want to try to make something happen, let the other agent know, listen, they're absolutely obsessed. They need to be here. This is where their children go to school. This is where they work, etc. Whatever the excuse may be. Say, I understand it has no, it says here no pets. Just want to confirm that that's correct. If they confirm that that's correct and your clients are absolutely heartbroken, ask the agent what they can do with their client to possibly come to a middle ground, right? Whether it be a hefty pet deposit, whether it be maybe $50 extra every month. Like what can we do to make this happen? Obviously, this family's not going to get rid of this family pet, right? It means a lot to them. It's like an additional human. So what can we do to make this work? And see if you can come to an agreement. You know, it never hurts to ask. And that's what I tell my clients. Listen, I know you love this property. I know we've got no pets here and we love, you know, our beautiful golden retriever, but let's see what we can do. And if it's a no, it's a no, you know, and then you manage expectations that way, but always try. Is it fair to suggest for renters to go to an apartment complex? So, this is kind of my last resort, right? Because usually when you go to an apartment complex, you're not going to get paid. I'll put it plain and simple that way. An apartment complex typically has their own leasing building or leasing office on site. And it's one of those things where someone will come in, they'll run their credit for them, and then they'll tell them what the amount is, and the amount varies, right? Apartment A, that's a 1-bedroom unit, might not be paying the same thing apartment B is paying for a 1-bedroom unit because their credit scores were different, etc. So they'll get people in there, but they'll charge them different rates based on, you know, their credit factors and things like that, their finances. But I suggest that as a last option, if I'm unable to get them for one reason or another into a property that's on the MLS. Oftentimes, again, they do not pay buyer's agents or rental agents. So call and see if there maybe if they're interested in some complexes, call and see if there's some complexes that will pay you a little commission to bring in the client. But oftentimes in my area, that's a no. Yeah, Willie, absolutely. So you need to know what is allowed in your area as far as, you know, your regulations and rules for your state. Yes, a recommendation is totally okay. And I haven't heard that a recommendation letter is frowned upon in any state. I think for rentals, I honestly think they should be standard. But that's just me. But not a love letter. Yeah. We don't want to gush and make it seem, you know, ridiculous. But a little recommendation is definitely, I think, as if I were an owner, having a recommendation letter for me would make me feel more comfortable. So going back to ways you can help your clients become buyers is to link up with an MLO. That's my number one suggestion, right? And have them make that warm introduction. They're not going to find this person on their own, most likely. You know, the MLO you work with and feel comfortable with and send your buyer clients to, they're most likely not going to find that specific MLO. So be the link between the problem, you know, and the solution. That's what I like to do. And I will link them to my preferred MLO so that we're all comfortable and we can move about the process, you know, seamlessly. Have a first-time home buyer's guide ready. I can't say this enough. I can't stress that enough. You should have guides for your clients at every turn. This most likely you're probably going to be the only agent, unless you listen to my unless you come here every Tuesday, right? You're probably going to be the only agent that hands them something like this, a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, or a rental guide. Have one for each one of your clients. And I stress this a lot on every one of my Tuesdays. You need to guide your clients. And if your clients don't know what they're doing, they're going to do nothing but bombard you with questions and possibly ask you things that don't even matter, right? They can go off on a tangent and think about all the possibilities and what ifs. But if you've got a guide for them, what are you doing? You're managing expectations, you're giving information, and you're giving them a better experience overall. So send this to your client via email and or ask if you want to get together for coffee or lunch to go over it in person. I like to do that. Obviously, this is like 6 months into their lease. You know, they've already been moved in, and you want to prepare them and start getting them to think about this. This is what I do. Hey, let's go grab lunch, let's go grab coffee, and let's go over let's go over this guide that I'd sent you, and let me know if you've got any questions, and I'm here for you to answer them. If you don't have a buyer's guide, go ahead and make one. As soon as possible, and connect with a local mortgage officer or lender to create one that includes commonly asked questions and concerns for first-time home buyers. So you can answer those questions before they even know they've got them, right? And that's what I like to do. Understand their wants and needs and prepare them early. Like I had just mentioned, I like to begin the conversation about 6 months into having begun a lease. I partner with an MLO to discuss current lending programs that they may benefit from, and I explain the requirements for each program. Your MLO is going to be the best person to do this. So when you partner with someone and you've got 2 people at a table with your clients, they feel like it's a stronger team, they feel more supported, and they really do feel, I like to say like following the yellow brick road, right? Everyone's just teamed together, just going down the yellow brick road to home ownership, if you want to see it that way. But the more people you have to help them, the better it is for them. This way, your client has several months to make credit and financial moves that would make home ownership and getting approved smooth sailing. And they heard it straight from an MLO. They're getting the guidance they need, not from you, right? Because I always stay in your lane. I don't deal with any of the financial information and programs. I don't talk about what specific credit scores are going to be needed. Oh my gosh, Danielle, I have to stop. I just saw that Danielle's in full costume. Oh, guys, that's hysterical. Oh, I love this. So we've got a nun Danielle with us. Mother Danielle, thank you for being here. It's gotta love class on Halloween. So in any case, these are my 3 tried and true ways that I help all of my leasing clients one way or another throughout the process to become home owners. And if, for example, they're not ready, right? At least you've given them the tools, and I assure you, most likely going to be the only person to have given them this guide and these tools and link them with an MLO during the process of renting. And I think that's an incredible benefit of working with an agent, because if they just go about this process on their own, right, from the get-go, they're not working with a professional and they don't have anybody to go down that yellow brick road with. They've got no one to link arms with and they feel sort of alone. And it can be a little scary when you're a first time home buyer coming off of renting and you don't really know anything. So be the one to give them that information. And I assure you, you're going to get referrals from it and you're going to get tons of business. Like I said, I don't shy away from rentals. I enjoy rentals. I like to show rentals on the weekends. I like to mix that in. It keeps things, fresh and different. It's not always just, let's say, doing bidding wars, with buyers or running comps on investments for my investors. So this is different. I like to help families, and this is a really great way to help families quickly within your community. You're going to probably find if you have children that go to school that you're going to help families that For example, I'm currently helping clients that did not know me, yet we actually have a common friend. And I find this out just because they are from within my community and the kids go to school together. So how cool is that? You get to really help the people that you see in your neighborhood, in your supermarket, at your kids' schools and things like that. And you get to help them not only get the house that they want for the time being, to rent, but also have them become homeowners sometime soon. And I really enjoy the process of working with renters. It's not always daunting and it doesn't always have to be a bad one. It can actually be a really nice experience where you create lifelong clients. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Does anyone have any questions? You can just let me know. Unmute yourself. If not, no, I see the chat is empty. Okay, wonderful. So next week, I want to do a Q&A on this. Bring me any questions you've got, any sort of odd scenarios that you might have, or that you currently are going through, and just ask me. Again, I do a lot of rentals and I love the process. I think it's great to work with people. Oh, you're very welcome, guys. You're very, very welcome. Thanks, Martha and Rob. Thanks for joining. I think it's great to help people like this. I think this is one of the best ways that as agents we can help people, because you're not only helping them through the rental process, but like I said, you're helping them for their future. And you're also letting them know that it's an easy and exciting process with you. So you get a lot more referrals this way, in my opinion. And it's they're pretty quick, right? When you work with a buyer, you're looking at like 45 days. And with leasing, you're looking at what I had mentioned, right? 5 to 6 weeks, 5 weeks. It's less than a sale. and a lot less hurdles, and I think a nice easy way to make money as agents. So if you haven't taken on any rental clients, don't be afraid of it. And that's what I've got to say. Don't be afraid of it at all. For next week, rent to own. Yeah, absolutely, Martha. Sí, Kelly, hablo español. I am Cuban. Absolutely. Definitely, Martha, bring your questions. Can't wait. Bring your questions next week and join us. Yes, Rob, it is absolutely recorded. You will be able to catch it here on the bottom right, Rob, if you look at the screen. Go catch the replay and all of the replays of not only my Tuesdays, but also David's Thursdays sessions. You can catch that on YouTube at David A. Kurz. If you just search David A. Kurz, you're going to find all of the Tuesday and Thursday replays. You can join me here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. by visiting thefreedomzoom.com. You register for all of our courses, though, so you get those emails to remind you. You can register at thefreedomcoaching.com. And don't forget to try the Freedom Achiever Academy, where you get an infinite amount of knowledge unlocked for you in the actual coaching platform. Please visit it if you have not. Take a look. There's a free trial. Give it a shot. There's nothing but a wealth of information there for you guys. Find the coaching at freedomachieveracademy.com. freedomachieveracademy.com. And don't forget to catch that replay, bottom right-hand side on YouTube at David A. Kurz. And then for me, I'm on the left here with the flamingo. You can find me anywhere and everywhere at Rosie Sells Miami. If you have any questions whatsoever, I am an open book, guys. Please feel free to email me, rosiesellsmiami@gmail.com, or hit me up on Instagram. You can find me at Rosie Sells Miami and send me a message. Otherwise, if no one's got any questions, I will catch you next week. Come back and bring those questions, bring other, agent friends of yours, tell them to join. This will be the Q&A session that you don't want to miss. Bring me all your questions about leasing. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. See you next time.